Hello and welcome. We begin in the Horn of Africa, a region sitting at the crossroads of the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean. Its strategic location has long attracted foreign powers who now control and operate crucial ports across the region. And now reports suggest Russia has joined the Horn of Africa's intense port race. Now, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Bogdanov has visited Somalia. He is also the special representative of President Vladimir Putin for the Middle East and Africa. This marks the first official visit by a high-ranking Russian official to Somalia in years. He met with his Somali counterpart as well as President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, and they discussed strengthening bilateral relations. He also extended an invitation from Putin to Somali President to attend the upcoming Russia-Arab League summit later this year. But was this visit always on the cards? Reports indicate that Russia initially planned to visit Somaliland, the breakaway region that seeks independence. Somaliland is home to the strategic Berbera Port, one of the most crucial ports along the Red Sea. However, the planned visit was cancelled. Now, in a leaked letter, Russia requested permission for diplomats from its embassy in Djibouti to visit Somaliland and to explore potential areas of cooperation. Moscow expressed particular interest in Somaliland's strategic location along the Gulf of Aden. Another leaked letter now reveals Somaliland's response, rejecting Russia's request for a visit. Experts suggest that Russia's official visit to Mogadishu is a direct reaction to the snub, and Moscow is reportedly angry over the leak of what was meant to be a confidential diplomatic communication. It remains unclear how these letters surfaced. Somaliland's decision appears to have been influenced by Western pressure. Reports indicate that Somaliland is in talks with Washington, seeking U.S. recognition in exchange for access to the Berbera Port. Currently, no country formally recognizes Somaliland's independence. Now, this entire episode underscores just how strategic Berbera Port has become. Now, Berbera connects Africa to global trade routes. Its location, close to piracy-prone waters and conflict zones like Yemen, makes it vital for security operations and trade. Berbera has now become a prize in the broader competition among foreign powers to gain influence in the Horn of Africa. Apart from Russia, the UAE has made substantial investments in Berbera, transforming it into a major commercial port. Meanwhile, Turkey has modernized the Mogadishu port and has invested heavily in Somalia's infrastructure. Turkey also maintains a military base in Somalia. As per reports, Saudi Arabia too is making moves with plans to invest in Eritrea's Assab port. It's a strategic location near the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, now one of the world's most important maritime gateways. And then there's China, which has expanded its presence across the Horn of Africa through its Belt and Road Initiative. Its most significant investment remains in Djibouti, where China operates a critical military base. So, with multiple powers vying for influence, how will the port race turn out for Africa? And how important is this particular visit by Russian Deputy Minister to Somalia? Is it in Putin's Africa outreach? Now, to discuss further, we have with us Musa Mdunge, an international affairs expert, joining us live from Johannesburg. Thank you for being with us, Musa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, what strategic interests might Russia have in Somalia, particularly in the context of this growing competition over key ports like Berbera in the Horn of Africa?
Certainly, Russia's interest in the Horn of Africa is certainly part of a long string of international interest that is rising up in that particular region. When one considers the importance of that region, particularly as it pertains to issues around trade, but also if you look in terms of the military and geopolitical strategic importance that the region holds, it is no surprise to see Russia also lifting up its hand to be counted among those countries that will have interest in that particular region. And it marks a return of this country in terms of the geopolitical play in that particular region since the 1970s. So it marks a critically important moment in global politics.
And given these leaked letters suggesting Somaliland's rejection of Russian overtures, how significant is this diplomatic snub for Moscow's ambitions in the Horn of Africa? And could it shift Russia's focus entirely towards Somalia instead?
Well, look, I don't think that it will necessarily shift Russia's focus on the region as a whole, but certainly it may shift the strategic approach that it undertakes. We know that Russia has built a pattern of exploiting countries that are weak, that require, military support, and uses the kind of military support that it can provide in order to obtain certain resources or overtures from those governments. And so in this particular snapshot, it may look like their strategy is losing, but I don't think it means that Russia will recede from the region, particularly when you consider how important the region is to other players, when you consider the likes of China, the likes of Djibouti, the likes of course, the UAE, as well as the United States and the European Union. Russia's ambition to be counted as a great power means that Putin is not likely to back down from his goals in this particular region.
Yeah, and in the wider port race involving powers like you've mentioned there, China, the UAE and Turkey, how realistic is it for Russia to carve out a sphere of influence in the Horn of Africa? And in your view, what tactics is Moscow likely to use then to compete?
Well, James Cleverly said it's the economy stupid. So, the mark of any great power is their economy. And so the challenge that Russia has when you compare it to a China, when you compare it to a UAE, is it in terms of the economics, the principles aren't there, and so the fundamentals for Russia are simply not there. And so the manner in which they're going to be able to invest long-term in a region as volatile as the Horn of Africa will be limited by, number one, the economic resources at their muster. That is going to be one level in which Russia may be limited in a manner that a China is not limited, or a UAE is not limited, or even a United States. But secondly, remember, Russia is a country that itself is going through a war. So that is the marked difference here between itself and a UAE and a China. And so resources are going to have to be strategically distributed in a manner that allows Russia to maximize and optimize its ability to have influence in the Horn of Africa and other regions as it tries to play great power politics.
Right. Musa, thank you. As always, great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India, what we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly.
Bluntly, Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.